What's up, everybody? John here from amateurgolf.com. A little something special for you guys. I am here with Corey Shaun, UCLA alum, stud golfer, currently on the DP World Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour. And we're here at the Foresight headquarters, a little sponsor of ours. He's getting dialed in with a little My Bag mapping session. We had to get a little what's in the bag going. So let's start with the putter right now.
Yeah, so the putter I've had for about 3 years now. It's been kind of trusty or reliable for me.
Okay.
It was the Odyssey Toulon from a few years ago, the Chicago model.
Nice.
I just love the shape and size of it. It's like a perfect, for me, like a mid between like a blade and like a double wide mallet for me.
Yeah.
Kind of gives me that feel and like look of a blade, but just kind of gives me a little bit more forgiveness and a little bit longer of a flange line for me.
Yeah.
So I can kind of line it up better.
Nice. Okay, wedges. Here, I see you've got the latest wedges, the Opus.
Yep. So 60 degree with a 6 bounce.
Okay.
I prefer, for me, like a little bit of a lower bounce wedge because I like it to sit, kind of lower to the ground.
Right.
For me, when the sole kind of sits, not as tight to the ground, I kind of freak out a little bit. I feel like I have to like dig into it to kind of reach, turf.
I feel like you got to go down even more.
Yeah, and then like I feel like that creates some bad habits for me. Like
Right.
I don't want to like get that depth way too low. So that's been a nice versatile club. Looks great.
Yeah, and then I see 54 and the 50 are the S grind, so kind of more of a standard.
Yeah, so 54, a little bit more bounce, 12 bounce. So that kind of gives me like that variety where, if I'm like in a soft bunker, I can't necessarily use like a 60 and like, chop it out, like
Right.
54 degree with some bounce, open it up, kind of gives me a little bit more distance and bounce out of it.
And going up to the irons, these kind of caught my eye when you were warming up here because these are some really very pretty looking irons.
For sure. Yeah, these are
X Forged.
Callaway X Forged. They're super soft, super nice looking. I feel like it's the perfect kind of player's cavity size.
Yeah.
It's it just has a little bit of that forgiveness in the back. You can tell from like its rear weighting. But besides that, you look down at it, it just looks like more or less like a blade type iron.
Yeah. And I like the kind of looks like it's got like something there on the leading edge to help with turf interaction there.
Exactly. That's huge for me. I feel like I don't like when the sole is too wide or it kind of like impacts turf interaction a little bit, and this kind of helps me feel like when I get into the ground, it just kind of like glides and does a really good job of being consistent.
So let's see. Let's group into the woods together. So let's start with the big dog. Everybody wants to know what you're hitting off the tee, and the head cover kind of hinted at it. So it looks like we got the Elite Triple Diamond here.
Yeah, Callaway Elite Triple Diamond. Used this all year so far, and I've really enjoyed it. I feel like it's. I was coming from the AI Smoke Triple Diamond last year, and I feel like this, for me, looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit more, pleasing to the eye. Mm-hmm. And I guess a golfer, that's like kind of number one thing. It's like if you like how it looks, you're gonna probably hit it better. Just kind of as mental, golfers we are.
Yeah, look good, feel good, play good.
Yeah.
And then, so you're setting here, I know you got -1 and the neutral. So is that something with face angle or is that launch condition?
A little bit of both. I kind of cycle between neutral and -1 depending on, honestly, kind of how my swing is at the time. Like I get a little bit spinny. So if I go to -1, the spin looks good. It might be a little bit lower launched I'd like, but it's kind of like right in that, sweet spot of like, is that launch and spin, going to work out for me on this kind of golf course, or if it's really soft, I might need to go back to neutral.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of play depending on the course conditions.
Yeah.
And I see you got it paired up with the Ventus TR6X Black.
Yep.
Any thoughts on the shaft? What stood out about it when you were getting fit for it?
Just like a really nice low launch, low spin shaft. I like a stout shaft. This is pretty much as stout as you're going to see. I don't like to feel the shaft kind of moving too much when I transition, especially if I were to, kind of jump on one, give it a little bit more extra speed.
Right.
I feel like if I had a shaft that was, more responsive, I feel like if I swung a little bit harder at it, I don't know what it's going to do anymore. So I feel like with this, it's kind of just one unit for the most part, so I can feel like there's no real issues if I hit a different shot with it.
And I was going to ask you because you mentioned earlier in your bag fitting you kind of like to hit a cut generally, at least with your irons. Is that the same thing with the driver?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, and then does that because the first thing that came to my mind was like Colin Morikawa, another guy who likes to hit a cut, and he plays a pretty boardy, low spin setup off the tee. So does that have something to do with the cut? You don't want to feel it flexing too much to where you want to know that you can kind of keep that face a little open. And
yeah, I feel like what's interesting is for me, I feel like when a shaft is too soft, I I kind of like overspin it and overcut it, but kind of like in the wrong way.
Okay.
But for the stout shafts for me, I feel like I kind of deliver loft like correctly and like kind of the way that I feel like it should be, because when it's super soft for me, it kind of like, I don't know where it kicks anymore. Like I don't know where the head kind of reaches the ball, like, and then my hands kind of probably try to save it in a weird way.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure you don't want
like
that variability when you're coming down the stretch, or
for sure.
hit a
Like
tight
I would hate to, you know, like be thinking about what my shaft does, like down the stretch of a golf tournament.
Right. And then just finally, Old Faithful, I guess, the fairway woods. Well, I got the 5 wood here, but it looks like you're actually playing an older model, which is something you kind of, okay, so the 3 wood you got a mix.
Yeah.
So the 3 wood, we got the 3 plus, and it's the Elite. Is this like
just
the standard Elite?
Yeah, the standard, yeah.
And then you got it at 13.5, again, -1, so same thing, kind of trying to dial in launch and spin.
Yeah, same thing. I'm a little bit of a spinny player, so even with this, my spin is still kind of in the right range. Despite it saying, you know, like a pretty strong loft, like I don't really think of it as, you know, what loft I play or what the number is. It's just kind of, does it hit the kind of gaps you want? Does it hit the spin you want?
Right.
And that's how you probably want to feel like you're getting fit into a club.
Yeah, and that's a really nice looking head. It sits like really flat, flush to the ground,
for
which
sure.
I'm sure helps.
Yeah.
When you're trying to pick something clean like a fairway wood. And then the 5 wood, I noticed it is an older model. Is that something like you just find something that's really good and hits that yardage gap kind of that you want, and you just hold on to it forever, right?
Exactly. I feel like everyone kind of has a club like that where they feel like, you know, they have comfort and, you know, reliability in a club, and you feel like you just know what it does. You feel like under the gun you can trust it.
Right.
And for this, you know, 5 wood I've had, you know, 4 years-ish, and I've really liked it. I feel like I can hit it high, low, like whatever I need to do off the tee, and just haven't really had a big need to kind of switch it out.
Right, yeah, when you have that trust, especially in a kind of a niche area of the bag where it's like you could use a myriad of different clubs, a different kind of situations. When you find a good club that kind of does all those things for you and you don't really have to think about it, that's something you got to hold on to.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Your life, right? And
yeah.
I'm sure as long as it's a Callaway thing, the Callaway guys don't mind that it's a few years old. That just proves that their technology works. They can stand the test of time and still work even to this day.
Yep.
Corey, thanks again for everything, man.
Hey,
glad to have you out here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks a lot.